there, listeners. Welcome to Shit That Goes Under Our Heads, the podcast where we normalize conversations around mental health.
That's right. I'm Dirty Skittles, and alongside my amazing co-host, Rex, we are here to share stories and tips from our incredible guests.
Each episode, we deep dive into struggles and triumphs of mental health, offering practical advice and heartfelt support.
Because no one should feel alone in their journey. Join us as we break the stigma and build a community of understanding and compassion.
Tune in and let's start talking about the shit that goes on in our heads. This is part 2 of a 2-part episode.
Does your husband ever get annoyed with, not annoyed because he's the sweetest person in the world, but does he ever, did he ever struggle with oh my gosh, I don't want to reassure you, or when you met, he just took in all of your everything that was you, and he just never it never bothered him. He always just loved everything about you.
I don't think he knew what he was getting into. So when I met Adam, I was going through my divorce. So I was at rock bottom, seriously rock bottom. But, he loved me and all my flaws, right? But I don't think he knew how deep my flaws really went, because I hid my eating disorder so well. So he never even knew it was a thing for me until recently. And so, yes, he loves me and all my flaws. Yes, he calls me out when I don't hug him, because his love language is definitely touch and affection. So we literally bump heads a lot when it comes to that. But I try. I really do try. It just doesn't come naturally for me to be an affectionate person. And then I feel bad after that I'm not, because it's not that I don't want to hug and kiss him or my kids. It just doesn't come naturally for me. And no, he doesn't get frustrated with me because he takes the time to understand. Remember I said it really takes a support system. When I was going through my eating disorder treatment, he didn't understand. He thought if you're not doing anything all day, why are you coming home so tired? And I'm you understand, the emotional toll it takes on you is exhausting. It's more exhausting than I've ever been. And so the only way he could help me is for him to understand the eating disorder itself. So he had to take the time to educate himself on that the eating disorder is not, the actual disorder. It's a symptom of something larger. And so by educating himself, he was able to deal with me better, if you want to say. But it wasn't to his own fault. It was ignorance, like everybody else. But they don't understand unless they take the time to understand. So you can't help somebody unless you have that knowledge. And a lot of people don't take the time to learn that because they don't think they need to,
Yeah. It's funny that you guys kind of brought that up, because I am the polar opposite of all three of you. I am super affectionate. I am a hugger. But, I was, as you guys were talking, I was thinking back a couple of months before, I had the suicide attempt. I became kind of withdrawn. I was a little less affectionate. I was, because I was so busy beating myself up every day. I didn't have really anything to give. And it's funny, my wife is super not affectionate. She is not the touchy-feely kind of person. But, me, in my healing journey, as I'm, coming up to January and February and March, I'm now I'm getting super affectionate. And she's what the fuck is wrong with you? Listen, I just want to hug. Okay. Because COVID, COVID took all that away from me. I felt like I was in hell.
Oh, trust me.
That was my little prison.
Was it because you weren't around people, or why?
And I couldn't hug people. I'm a hugger.
Okay.
Listen, I come in for the contact. So,
Gotcha.
that
put me in treatment. And also COVID was my tipping point for me to actually have to enter a treatment facility. I struggled for a long time and was always able to pull myself out, but COVID did me in. So I understand. COVID was brutal for me.
Yeah, COVID hit me hard because I was working in New York City during the height of it at NYP, Weill Cornell. And I think I still am kind of a loner since then, because I saw so many people just die, and their families would just be sobbing, screaming, because they were some were young people, or that we would play we would have an iPad in the room, and the family basically would make a slideshow, and it would just play. And when the person died,
oh no,
somebody that a nurse would go in there for you, maybe shut it off, because it's just and then like one of the girls that I work with, her best friend, she was on like the, like, what's like the step down. So she was a step down nurse, but the whole hospital was an ICU. So they intertwined us. But so on the ICU side of her side was her best friend, who was supposed to get married in August. And this was April. And he didn't make it. And she was just like, and I just was like, oh my gosh, like it just made me like totally rethink, like, why do we even, it didn't help my depression at all. Cause I'm like, why am I going to get close to people? We're all just going to die. Like,
right. And I don't think I even noticed how bad COVID was for us, but I struggle with depression. And I think once that happened to some degree, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see anybody. I don't have to pretend to be happy. But it only made it worse because then I wasn't aware, I guess. I was like hiding in and like, being in that dark space and nobody questioned it because it was COVID. So it was crazy times.
Yeah, I saw some of the worst things I've ever seen as a nurse, like during COVID, like domestic violence situations and like people. I just was like, this is life. Like, this is the world. This is horrible. This is so sad. And I just was like beside myself. I'm like, where do we go from here? Like, this stuff is happening to people and now they're stuck there. It was horrible. It was so sad.
Crazy.
And I think actually the opposite for me, like, I know you saw the medical aspect of it, like, right? Like people passing away and the ventilators and, like all of that stuff. And for me, I saw like all these moments being ripped away from my children. Like,
I feel like we have the same outlook on COVID though, because I feel you like in your book where you talked about, like, was it the right choice? Like withdrawing from like everything. And I, to this day now, I'm like, don't, if this could be the last chance you see your family, go. Don't let anything stop you. Who cares?
Yeah. And I think that's what I struggle with the most is that like we made these decisions, and I know, Gretchen, you mentioned earlier, like about the outside world being on fire and all of that. And I feel like for me, that's how I felt during COVID. I felt like the administration was just worrying about keeping everybody alive, right? Like, let's keep everybody healthy, but nobody was worried about keeping everybody's like mental health. And to recover from something mentally takes years. So yes, we're in survival mode. We have to worry about our health. I totally get that. But like, nobody thought about how this would affect everybody mentally. Like I had friends who committed suicide. Like I had friends who became alcoholics. I had friends who became drug addicts. Like, my kids missed out on so many years. My grandmother passed away, not from COVID, but from something else. But I lost those last 2 years with her, because she passed away during COVID. I didn't spend any holidays or anything leading up to that. So I get so angry that nobody thought about like how this would affect everyone mentally, with what isolation does to a human being. How did nobody think of this? It still infuriates me.
Yeah, there was like no good answer because they're just, but it was, that no one really thought about like the mental health of the nurses either. Cause like,
yeah, literally seeing death.
And like nobody thought about like the, men or women that were, stuck in domestic abuse relationships or thought about the kids. And I think that like we are still as a country or even as a world still suffering from some of that. Right. And I think that, by us sharing our journeys and sharing our resources and some tips and tricks that like we've learned to.
At least we got telehealth.
We do have telehealth. Yes. But, there's a lot of people out there that don't have insurance too. Yeah. Right. And like, how do they get the help that they need? What kind of resources can we provide them with that they may not have ever heard of before? And, the great thing about the podcast is we don't have geographic barriers like a radio or TV. This episode will be listened to and like all over the world. And so, I'm sure like our stories are not super unique. They're unique to us, but like there are other people out there that are suffering the same way that all four of us have.
Yeah. And this is how it starts, having a conversation and putting it out there and being vulnerable and honest and knowing it's not always going to be great, right? Like it's going to take work. And I would say there was something I wrote down earlier. You're not ever really cured, but I think there's light that like eventually, hopefully, you feel safer to be able to be honest with how you feel.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. And that's the only reason I even want to share my story. And honestly, ever since like I did the like 90-day thing, there's been people like on TikTok or like Instagram that they'll message me and I just like, I'll like, I mean, I'm not a mental health medical professional. I'm like just a regular like critical care nurse, but I'm just am like, I hear you, like I hear you're important. Like I can relate. Like I have those feelings too, and to me, I'm just like, that's just amazing because at least they're saying something because once you get it out, I feel like then sometimes it's okay, it's out in the world now. It's not just something I'm holding on to, like all that shame, So I think the more people start talking, obviously that's the goal, right?
Yeah. It really is. And I think like telling my story in the book was one thing. Then doing podcasts and stuff is another thing. Doing like talks at walks is another thing. But like you saw, Emily, when I did the gala, at least 15, 20 people were like coming up to me telling me their story. That really like, and I didn't say anything at the time, but that was hard for me. Like
we talked about that at your gala for a minute, like, whoa, this is a lot.
It was really like the mental load of like taking on everybody else's story. It really like, and that never happened to me before, where like I've had conversations with people and I gave them like the best advice to my ability, but from my experience, but like hearing multiple stories in one day at one time within like a small period of time, like it really triggered me a lot. And so it's something I have to work on for sure. And I think that using our voice, like some people are like, okay, like you told your story, like that must be therapeutic for you. Like, no, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Our story is not just therapeutic. Like it is hard because we have to relive it. And then you're going to respond. And then your response might be triggering. And so like, we have to keep it together. Like it's not easy, but we're doing it for a purpose, like we're trying to educate others. And yeah, definitely. I'm so happy that you're able to use your voice.
I saw that. Yeah. That was one thing, I was happy that I witnessed at the gala, like, okay, if this is part of sharing your story that, people are going to want to talk, a lot of people. And it's like, how do I prioritize myself and keep up the goal of like, this is what I want. I want people to share. Like, I want this, but at the same time, like, how do I make sure that I'm still like, okay. And I'm not taking on their whatever.
I think you even pulled me to the side at one point because you saw my face and I couldn't take like one more story because it's like it was loud in there. I couldn't hear. I feel like I wasn't being effective in like my responses because it was so loud. And I just kept saying like email me or like message me, like we'll talk about this tomorrow. Like I can't have this like full blown. And I think you pulled me to the side because you saw like my anxiety was like, starting. So again, to my point of a support system, right? Like somebody who understands was able to like swoop in and help me because like I was, it was a lot that night. And I'm so.
You know what? You should do like a question card, like a card, like like the cards they have, like, or whatever, maybe. So, and be like, hey, if anyone, is there anything you want to tell me or talk to me about, like, put it in the card box or something. And at least like something. Cause that was a lot. And I could tell, I just was like, and then I just thought like, well, she's taking on a lot. And this is a big deal for her because she also just shared her story. And this is like her first one. Like, it was just, I was like, well, I hope that, hope she's taking care of her too in this moment. Cause we also have to remember, like, we're essentially the most important one to ourselves. We have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like I just was away from the world for a few days after the gala. I needed just like a minute. It was a lot.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I've oftentimes wondered that. And I think selfishly, I'm not saying this is the right thing, but selfishly, that's part of like why I like being on this side of it. Cause I can't imagine, like, how do you decompress? Like, how do you not feel, I don't know, like, I would just feel like I would be sad hearing everybody's story. And like my mama bear mode would want to fix everybody. Right. And like, I can't. So how do you decompress after something like that?
This was my first experience with it being so overwhelming because usually like people will message me and it will be like a one-on-one thing or, people will be out and I'll just have to talk to one or two people. But recently I've been doing a lot of events with like women empowerment and things like that. And so I'm being more recognized when I go out. And so people will be like, oh my God, I read your book and I had this happen to me when I was a kid. And so when it's like all at once, it's just very like, it's just.
And in a confined room.
Yeah, confined room. But like, I think for me, the same, like what you said, Emily, like I need to take it one at a time. Like, And so I have to like set my own boundary and be like, I really would love to help you, and I did not do this at the gala. And so moving forward, like, I know I have to set a hard boundary with this because it triggered me. Like, I have to be able to say, like, not right now, but not never. Like, email me.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this another day. And as far as decompressing goes, it like after, I just had to have like a no contact for me. Like, it had to be no contact for a few days. Like, just let me be by myself, be in like someplace that makes me feel happy, like doing something with my kids or with my husband, or drinking tea on the couch by myself while nobody's touching me or bothering me. Whatever it was that I needed, I had to do it because I had to get out of that heavy. Everything was so heavy from that. That felt so heavy,
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you not like want to jump in and help, right? Like, dang.
A lot of people will ask me, like if they had someone that they know that like, committed suicide or something, and they're like, what could I have done differently? What could this? And like, I'm not like, it's almost like they think like I can answer the questions because I've tried to kill myself and almost died. And I'm just like, all I know is that it had nothing to do with you, but it's like, I don't know. Cause I don't think we don't all think the same thing when we're about to,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like, but the thing is, but I want people to talk about it, but then it's also like, yeah, you have to like make it like an internal, like mental boundary of like, or maybe just like be able to say out loud, hey, just like, I like need a minute. I'm like to my point where I'm starting to feel triggered and like my thoughts aren't like safe anymore. I need a second. I don't know, but I don't think there's a really good answer.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I've started sharing my story a lot more on podcasts. And, you asked how I take care of myself. Well, I don't do more than 2 a week because it's hard to go back and relive that story because every different host asks different questions, some harder than others. And like, even after we are done like recording on our one Saturday a month, like that very next day, that is self-care Sunday for me. Like I check out, I do stuff to make myself feel better. But I also like in the last 2 years, I've built this really good tribe, right? I have my community, the people I can go and talk to, my wife, Dirty Skittles. I have some really good friends who know me inside and out, know everything that I've been through. And like, I can just vent to them. Like it's stuff that I don't really want to go to my therapist about. But like, I just want my friends to like, remember I'm fucking human. I get a messy fucking mind. And sometimes I just need to vent. And so like for all three of you, do you guys like, how do you vent? Like when shit is just so...
Chat GPT.
I've never tried it actually.
Well, it's worth the $20 a month.
I think I have like my safety net friends is what I like to call them. It's like, those are the people that if I'm not feeling okay, I know they won't judge me for it. And so I can literally say anything. Like if I'm pissed about whatever, or if I feel like shit because, I said something stupid, like those are my friends that I would literally vent to. And G-Rex, you're one. You call me almost every morning and
yeah, we still laugh every
telling
day.
You some dumb shit that like is pissing me off and you just let me vent.
We still laugh about the most irreverent shit you'd ever want to laugh about. Probably, gonna take the bus to hell. But like the other thing that I'm super interested in too is Emily and Ella. How did you two meet?
Her book.
Did you go to a signing?
No, I found it online.
And I did like a book review or post about it or something.
I like read her book and I was like on the treadmill at the gym. I'm like sobbing and like, and there's like songs in it too. So like you read like the chapter and the song and everything just hit. And then it's not like, yes, like she had like her mental health, like was her eating disorder. Like that was like how it presented. But the book isn't like about like eating disorders. It really just is like almost about like a girl who feels like trapped and who like, there's just so much stuff that I could relate to. And it's just so, and I was just like, whoa, like I admire this person for sharing her story. And it was helpful to me because I really felt less alone for the first time. Like, I don't know. And then, yeah, it was just like, great. And then I was like, saw you had a gala or something. I was like, yeah, I want to come to the gala. And
Yeah, it was like we connected through social media. I told her about the gala, and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't know, I'm a little nervous." And I was like, "No, just come. It's going to be fun." And
I was 2 hours late because I was so nervous.
Oh,
like, were you actually nervous when you first got there? Because they didn't see you until a little bit.
Yes, I had one of the people that work there, like they must have been at the door or something. He like walked me in, and I was like, "Wait, don't leave yet." So this poor guy, the poor worker, he sat with me for like 20 minutes, and he's like, "Are you good now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you can go. I guess you can go."
Oh my God,
I love that.
It was so funny.
Oh my God. But so did you end up actually like liking that are you like happy?
Yes.
Or, okay, good.
And it was great. There was some of the people that like you introduced me to, and then like I think your cousin or stuff, everyone was so kind and so nice. And I think it like helped me feel a little bit better like about like myself. It's like, hey, I did it. Like I did it. I did something. So I like talked to people. I had a great time. So
tell you, I was like, you know what? I know it's going to be really hard for you, but I feel like you need to do this for yourself because like it's a sense of accomplishment. Like,
yes, I was so proud.
And you're going to do it for yourself. And I think I'm so glad you did that.
It was amazing. It really was. And it was for like a good cause. And everyone was just so genuine. And it was great, honestly.
Yeah. That's cool. And I like that you said that about that. Like, we have so many.
Nice that she wasn't like annoyed that I was late or something. She got it. Like like you said, you need to have people that like understand you and can meet you where you're at instead of like, like getting mad. Yeah. It's just like, she literally was just like, don't be stressed, don't be anxious. Like, you're going to be fine. So I like texting her like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous or something. And she was just so kind about it and so accepting of the fact that like, it's okay. Like, you're going to be okay. I felt like this before too. Like the first time I went alone to an event and it was like nice to be like, okay, I can do this, like, without somebody being like, where are you? Like judging you, it was just like, okay, now I think the next time I go to an event alone, I think like it's going to be easier. It's going to be a whole lot easier,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
thanks,
you felt supported.
Yeah. And I felt awesome. Like that reading her book, like, and it's, I don't know. I feel like it's not even like I'm trying to like push the book or whatever, but it just helped me a lot. Like and her book also, so I was kind of on a break on accident from my healing like journey. Cause I think I kind of lost my own hope for a minute. I just got to a point where I was like, just waiting for the next time that like a bout of depression was going to hit. I was just waiting, like this is my life forever. And then I read a book and it restarted my want to keep healing. It gave me like the push to be like, no, like you don't have to just sit around and like let this own you. You can fight it back. And so I just felt really empowered by her book. And I just had happened to do the 988 thing a few months like before that. And then she was so nice and she like shared the 988 thing. She like was the one that set me up with you guys. And so it was just like, okay, this is somebody who is just genuine and wants people to feel good about themselves and is just a nice human, because you don't get that a lot anymore.
Yeah. And I think all of our stories, even though that they present differently, we're human and we can connect on that level. Like you were able to relate to other parts of her story, right? And like find hope in that.
At the end of the chapters, it was basically like if I could go back, this is like what I would do differently or something. And then it just was like, okay, like, yeah, I would do stuff differently too, but that doesn't mean I have to hate myself. That doesn't mean I have to like not love me. And it helped me start gaining back some of my self-worth. And I honestly am like going to be forever like grateful for you for that, because I think that, I don't know if you knew the impact your book could have on other people. So it's not just about eating disorders. It's more about empowering you and knowing that mental health it's okay.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because when I first put the book out there, like I was stressing. I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to like this book. Everyone's going to know all my like deepest, darkest secrets. Like I'm really putting myself out there. And then I was like, but like I might be helping people, because I feel like people don't talk about these things. And so it was a big struggle for me to actually publish that book. And I don't remember which podcast it was, but somebody said like, why did you do this? Why did you write the book in the first place? And it had nothing to do with making money or fame or any of that. It really was to like help others find your people. Like, let's go back to like the whole tribe thing. It's hard to find a tribe. Like my circle is so small because I'm very particular about the people that I let in my life. And so if, my book can help you in some way, and now I've connected with you, my tribe is slowly getting a little bit bigger, but with people that I know are genuine and with people that I know understand me, instead of just like people. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's a purpose.
Yeah. Quality, not quantity.
Quality. And
Yes.
like, I'm so thankful to you, Ella, because you did introduce me to Emily. And what was so funny is that
which also is how I know you're like real when you say like this wasn't about you, the book, because like I feel like all you do like is you want to like help other people. Like you're pushing for like me to do things and meet people and get my story out there. And it's like you're just very selfless, you know?
And that helps like with our mental health, right? Like when we find people that are selfless and honestly want to help
genuine.
us. Genuine. Like when Ella introduced me to Emily, I was like, fuck, this is awesome. What I didn't realize is that she lives literally like 20 minutes from my house.
I was trying to figure it out. I'm like,
dining room.
Yeah, I knew you were at her house, but then I'm like, wait, so she went to the gala over here? I was trying to like place you. Like, where do you, wow, small world.
Super small world. And like we got to meet for coffee and
that's cool.
like, we hardly ever get to meet our guests face to face because they're scattered all over the country. And like we all share this common bond, which is like, it's a kind of a crappy bond to have, but like it's crappy, but it has its good things, right? We all have some mental messiness that goes on, but we're all also trying to change the world and trying to change the stigma around it and give people the tools and the things they need to make it to like the next minute, the next hour, the next day. And that, life is not always going to suck as bad as it does today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might suck some days though.
It might suck some days.
Yeah. But to your point, like, we share this crappy bond, but also like, it's nice to not be alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to be in company.
For sure.
Yeah.
To feel safe in company too. Like to just know that I can just be me and I can, like when the podcast thing, I was like, can you do it with, I texted her first before I asked you. I was like, can you do it with me? Like this is only the second time I'm ever sharing my story. I'm like a little bit nervous. And she's like, of course. And then even yesterday I like texted her or something and she's like, hey, just make sure she was just kind of giving me some good pointers. Like, make sure that, like if there's anything you really aren't comfortable talking about, like just kind of prepping me for like getting ready to do the podcast, which I thought was just so nice.
I feel like an interviewer today. It's kind of fun because I rarely have like three moms in the same room. As mothers and daughters, like what is like one lesson or one lesson that you would like to like impart on our listeners that might be helpful to somebody that either has a family member or a coworker or somebody that's really struggling? Like, what is a tip or a trick you can give to our listeners?
I think for me, the most simplest thing that I tell people is to just listen. Like, even if you even if you know nothing about it, like you know nothing about an eating disorder, you know nothing about suicide, you've never met anybody who's had these things, you don't know what to say, like just listen. Because sometimes me just like talking and having somebody else just take the time out of their life to listen to what my problem is might be enough to like get me through that moment. And so I think that in the most simplest form, what you can do is just listen without judgment.
It's a good answer.
I feel like for me, I think like more to like if there's somebody who is struggling, maybe like a younger person, if I was successful, if I had like died, if I was successful in my suicide attempt, my daughter wouldn't be here. And she's a joy to the world. Like she likes to perform, she lights up the stage, and like she wouldn't be here if I wasn't here. And, the world really did deserve to have her here. And it's like, even if this moment you can't do it for you, like think about tomorrow, think about 5 years from now, so think about the joy that more like life can bring you, just hold on a little bit longer because it's worth it. And you're worth it. You're worth that kind of like happiness.
Yeah. The only thing that I guess I would say is probably something that brings me comfort sometimes is that even in the darkest, like, or bad, like most depressed times, I try to remind myself it's temporary. And so I shouldn't make a permanent decision and that tomorrow will be better. And so I keep pushing that through. Like it's tough now, but it's temporary.
I like that.
I did, like, and so I think, I can tell myself like it's temporary, but when you're in that depression, like it's hard to get there, and
Oh yeah.
It's good to have somebody around you that can remind you again. Like, so it goes back to the tribe and the support system. I feel like that's like the missing piece to mental health. I feel like as far as like, people really are trying to like heal themselves and practicing self-love and self-care, but like we need the people around us to understand, like we need help. Like isolation is a scary thing for people who have, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, any of those things. And it really is so important for the support system. It really is. And I keep just trying to like, and that's why I like connecting you to you and you too, because we're building that support system for people. And I think that's what's going to make a little bit of a difference, in the mental health that we had in the 80s when I was growing up versus what my kids can have when they're growing up,
Yeah.
Versus what I had, because I'm 20 years older than all of you. When I was growing up, we didn't talk about mental health.
No.
And that was part of my problem is that, like, I didn't understand what was going on inside me. So I just kept shoving it down until it couldn't fucking go anyplace else. And, just helping to remove that stigma. And, I'm hoping that this podcast has been helpful to you, Emily, and that, you feel like you're able to share your story and really get it out there.
I feel like there's one thing, I really wanted to share my story in hopes that if somebody listening is kind of on the verge, that once you make an attempt, it's the way that the stigma is real still. Like, we're trying to fix it, but it's not gone. And so the way I was treated after that was just inhuman. Like, it was like I wasn't a human anymore. And, the behavioral health unit that I was in, it was like an inpatient psych unit in the hospital. And that was terrifying. And I was a little girl. And so if you're an adolescent, if you're above 16, you're probably going into an adult psych 72 mandatory psych hold. And it's just like, I hope that my story can help other people not get to that point where they're making the attempt or they're taking their lives or they're almost, because get the help beforehand. And I don't want anyone to experience what I experienced in the behavioral unit, because that was the absolute worst experience of my entire life. And I just think that, there is help. There's so much you can do before that point, don't, because at the end of the day, adolescents, most of the time they overdose on simple household, like Tylenols and things like that. And it's like, that's not actually going to kill you, but it could actually like ruin your kidneys forever. And then you have to deal with a lot after that. Like, you have to do a mandatory 72-hour psych hold. You're going to be scared. Mom and dad can't come and be with you. Your cell phone is taken away. You're going to be with adults that are erratic and that are not just like quiet and suicidal. It's not like the hospital. Nobody's separated. We're in a fishbowl. Your mattress is on the floor. There's no mirrors in the bathroom. You don't get a garbage can. It's a brown paper bag. You have to wear paper scrubs. And if they're too big, that stinks because you can't have a tie. You can't have like anything to tighten them. You can't have a bra with like, it's a lot. And I don't want anyone else to have to go through that. I don't want anyone else to be as scared as I was, because there's nothing worse than than overdosing, wishing you were dead, waking up in the ICU, realizing, well, I didn't die. And now I'm terrified because I'm the only child in this unit. And when I walked into the unit, there was somebody like spitting at me, screaming, like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to rape you. Like, he was there for other types of mental health issues. And I feel for him too. But like, I was terrified. I was a kid and I don't want anybody else to have to, do that. I woke up in the middle of the night once and my roommate was standing over me, like reciting the Beatitudes. And I still, to this day, when I hear them, I just am like scared. And she was so kind. She had her own mental health issues that she was dealing with, and they're not all the same. And so when you're a quiet, depressed, like suicidal person, you don't really get focused on in the behavioral units in the inpatient when you're in the mandatory 72-hour psych hold, because there are people that require more attention. They require all the resources, and you're just going to be scared and alone. And they try their best, I think, but especially since COVID, the way that, it kind of became a thing where like, they don't really talk to you anymore. You're just there. You feel like you're in a jail. And I just think that I don't want anybody else to go through that.
It's actually really sad because you're not the first person I've heard this from, that, where they went to get help actually caused PTSD, right?
So bad.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, Robert Wood Johnson was amazing for me in terms of like helping me get better, but I have my own PTSD from that also. Like the process itself, the limitations you have, the things, people watching you, writing notes about you, like it's all traumatic. And so if you can do anything to avoid getting to that point, that's my goal, is to try to get people to not even have to get to that point. And so in the same thing that you're saying, like, unfortunately, the healthcare system is trying their best, but it's not the best when it comes to mental health. It's not. It definitely causes some trauma when you leave there, for sure.
And which brings up like another great thing is that like the 988 crisis hotline or even the Trevor hotline, it is free, it's anonymous, and you don't have to be suicidal. You could be in any type of crisis to call that line. I'm alive today because of 988. If that number hadn't been around, I don't think I would have been here. I was pretty determined to end my life. And, I want people to know that you're loved and wanted and needed in this world. There are people out there, and you may live in rural BFE, but that number is available to you, right? There are crisis hotlines. That crisis hotline reaches all 50 states and in Canada. So Canada also uses 988. And, I just want people to know that there's help out there.
Yeah, you don't have to I don't want anyone to get where I got. I was so scared, and I just really felt so worthless, there was a lot that went into my depression. Some of it's genetic. My grandma, she really passed me down the good genes. And then some of it was from my childhood. And then some of it was just the way I handled it and didn't talk about it. And there's just so much stuff that encompasses like everything that we go through with mental health. And I think people think it's a black and white situation, but it's not. And I just hope that the more that like we talk and like we share our stories and stuff, that more people will just feel safe saying, I don't feel really okay. I feel weird, and know that you're not going to be in trouble. You're not going to, there's resources. Other people feel this way.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Yeah. You don't want to go to the unit. I promise you, it's not fun.
And like, there's one other thing, like, I wanted to bring up is there's that great Simon Sinek clip. It's 8 minutes. If you haven't listened to it, I'll make sure it's in the show notes. But 8 minutes. We all have 8 minutes to listen to somebody. So if anybody reaches out to you and says, I'm mentally checked the fuck out, take that 8 minutes. You don't have to offer them any advice, but like listen to them. Right? Like just listen to what they have to say. You may not be able to help them, but give them 8 minutes, because that 8 minutes could literally save somebody's life.
And to that point, my book came out in audiobook today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I remember when I was in my lowest point, to physically read a book was very hard for me. Like I couldn't focus. The words on the page, like I was not in a healthy way to read a book. And so I came out with an audio version so that people who really are struggling can listen. And it's the universe that it came out today when I had my interview with you guys, because I'm like, look at this. I'm going back on my...
It's so funny.
And the audiobook came out today. It's like a very good day.
I love that. Are you narrating it?
I was just going to ask that.
I didn't. I had somebody else do it because, confidence issues. I hate my voice. So I had somebody else read it, but it took me a good 6 to 9 months of making changes so that it would be exactly the way I would say it. But it did come out today on 34 different platforms. So somebody else is reading it. Okay. It's how I would have read it. So
I love that. I'm a big audiobook person. I put it on and I'm like doing laundry or cleaning or whatever. It literally gets me through whatever daunting task I have. So.
Perfect.
This has been such a great conversation. I thank both of you for, Ella, thank you for coming back on. Emily, thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
But we're not quite done because Dirty Skittles has her crazy ass questions.
Gosh, I've been getting hate on for these questions.
I'm not giving you any hate. I'm just saying they're crazy. That's
okay. If you can go back in time to give a younger version of yourself some advice, what would you say and how old are you?
I think I probably would be like 10, 12. And I think I would just tell myself that you are lovable and you are kind and you deserve everything good in the world and you're worth it. And I think I would just tell myself that I belong here and I have a purpose,
I love that. What has been the hardest lesson you've had to learn so far?
Life is just hard in general, that people don't believe what they can't see, that even people who see me and have seen me struggle, they still are going to judge me and they're still going to talk about me. And that's okay, because I had to learn that I have to be stronger than that and that my struggles are real. And just because I am good at like smiling and being cute and funny doesn't mean that every single day is great. And just pushing through and learning how to just keep pushing through and just loving me through all the negativity.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so now I have a couple of questions. If your anxiety had a theme song, what is it and why?
This song that's like, I don't know, like the song's like, bitch, I said what I said. That would be my anxiety song, I think.
Wait, it's so funny that you're saying this because my anxiety goes into like full blown mode when I'm overstimulated.
Yes.
But like constantly overstimulating me. So like I'll tell my Alexa to play this song and my kids will know like, oh God, all right, let's leave it alone. It's that song that's like, I want to run away. I want to get away. And it's like, and it just talks about like running away, whatever. And it's a club song and it has like this loud beat and I'll put it on like full blast and my kids will be like, all right, let's leave mom alone. And she's like,
she needs a minute.
I love that. What about you, Dirty Skittles? What's your anxiety song?
How dare you, first of all? I don't have a good answer for this. What is my anxiety theme song? Fuck, dude. I don't know.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Okay. Come back.
So my other question is, what are you doing today for self-love and self-care?
Working on that. Okay. I still have my bad days.
All right.
But the gym, getting dressed, putting makeup on, leaving the house, being social. Even when I'm scared to be social, like going to the gala.
Those are still so important. I mean, even if you can do that in one day, that's amazing, because there's some days where you can't. For me, I'm going to the carnival to get ice cream. So that's something I would typically do. So I'm going to go get an ice cream cone later.
I love that.
Yeah. Love that. Skittles, you come up with your song yet?
I don't know. I was like, it's got to be like Beethoven, like some shit that I hate listening to that plays and it's loud. But
okay, well, that works.
It's the best I've got. I'm sorry. How dare you? No, I'm just
Hey, I like to change it up every now and then. This has been really awesome, you guys. Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and just making a change. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. And thanks, Elisa, for everything. It is nice to know.
Anytime. And thank you both for, your podcast is doing amazing. I feel like its outreach is incredible. And so you're definitely saving so many more lives than you probably even know. So thank you to you both as well.
Thank you. It was good seeing you again.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm G-Rex.
And I'm Dirty Skittles.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We'd love to listen to your feedback.
We can't do this without you guys.
It's okay to be not okay. just make sure you're talking to someone.